into down Soto and is now traveling southbound on Soto. Slow speed chase, stopping for all of the red lights here as they continue this pursuit. Now there's about a half a dozen LA County Sheriff's SUVs right behind him, ready to execute a felony stop as soon as he pulls over here. But at these manageable slow speeds, they are going to follow him and continue the pursuit at a safe distance and kind of wait this out, play this out as long as it goes. But again, not posing a real danger here as he's obeying many of the laws, just refusing to pull over, guys. That's what we're unofficially, that's what we're hearing. Suspected stolen vehicle, a grand theft auto suspect behind the wheel there. And as you could tell, those windows still pretty, from what I can see, at least from this driver's side, those are heavily tinted windows, and we cannot exactly see if there's anybody else in that back seat. What we'll try and do here in the next couple of minutes is maybe peek through the front windshield and maybe see if there's anybody else inside the passenger seat. But right now, only the driver that we are aware of. As far as we know, it's been going on about 30 minutes or so, maybe a little bit less, and only on surface streets for the most part as he kind of weaved his way through East LA. Of note, though, since we've pulled up on this, the distance that they are following him at, I mean, less than a car length. That primary unit, less than a car length behind that SUV, pulling up right up on his tail, right up against that rear bumper here. Aggressive tactics, but still no sign of any kind of a pit maneuver or anything like that. They are basically waiting this guy out. You can see somebody crossing the crosswalk there. Again, southbound Soto, I think that may be 30th. And again, it looks like he's got the red light here. He's been, as far as we are aware, has been stopping for most of the street signs and traffic signals. Looks like there is somebody in the passenger seat. So a driver, obviously in the driver's seat there, accompanied by a passenger. And it looks like lots of belongings in the back seat. Yeah, that's right, a small dog in that passenger's lap. It looks like a small dog, maybe a Frenchie there, I can't tell. No, it looks like some personal, it doesn't look like a car seat per se. I couldn't tell what it was, but maybe a container or maybe a cooler, something like that in that back seat. Yeah, fairly composed driving. Now coming up on Slauson Avenue as he makes his way past 54th Street, coming up on Slauson, southbound Soto. Very composed driving at just about the speed limit, quite frankly, doing about 35, 40 miles per hour, so right around the speed limit there. And it's always interesting with these stolen vehicle chases, you don't know exactly how it started. Did somebody call in and they caught up with the suspect? Did somebody see it being stolen, or is it a LoJack perhaps with some kind of a tracking device inside the vehicle that they picked up on? Too soon to say, but in any event, that's the original one. There could be more crimes associated that maybe they are pursuing him for. That's also a possibility. Going with the flow of traffic here, slowing down, pulling over to the right here, stopping where he has some room to play with. Is there anybody in front of him there, Rob? Let's wind out just a touch. Yeah, he's got some traffic up ahead of him. Once he got on Soto, it's been pretty moderate traffic for much of this pursuit. But again, he hasn't shown any real aggressive driving, not choosing to ride the sidewalk, for example, like we see many times, or kind of swerve around traffic, just going with it, refusing to pull over. So a stolen vehicle, failure to yield, basically the two charges that we can count here. But I suspect there is more to this story. In any event, you have about a half a dozen LA County Sheriff's units, which in and of itself is somewhat unusual, especially for the Sheriff's Department. They often are a little more scaled back, a little more conservative, unless they know more than we do. They would normally just follow with a primary unit, a secondary unit, maybe a backup unit, and the airship. Yeah, sorry. No, I was just mentioning there is also a helicopter overhead here. Yeah, I did see that blanket that you were talking about. Obviously, a very small dog that we caught a glimpse of there. Couldn't make out the breed, but in any event, a female, it appeared, in the passenger seat. And once again, stopping for the red light here at Slauson. What is it? No, that's not Slauson. Randolph Street. Southbound Soto at Randolph now, with no traffic in the area, coming to a complete stop. There was definitely an opportunity there, but just as I was mentioning, LA County Sheriff, as we would often suspect, will pull back on something like this, especially if the driving gets too dangerous. In this case, it's not too dangerous, but with this many units in pursuit and the helicopter overhead, it is a little bit surprising. He's now made a westbound turn off of Randolph, which is going to put him in the LAX Bravo space, which is going to limit our ability to follow him any further west, so we're going to shoot him as long as we can. But you can see a woman with a stroller on the corner there. We've seen a lot of pedestrians out over the course of this pursuit, but again, they don't appear to be an exceptional danger as he continues to stop at all of the crosswalks, all of the red lights, and they have a decision to make here. Do they want to continue? It's in pursuit mode. You can tell that just by the flashing lights there in the unit right behind that SUV. Do they want to continue this as a pursuit, or do they just want to follow it and meet up with him at some other point? But considering, I think the only reason that this is going on right now, guys, is that the speed is just slow enough. He's basically traveling at a safe speed, and he's not posing an exceptional danger. They're going to follow it as long as they can. Yeah, there goes the spike. A successful spike. A successful spike. It appears to be successful, at least. He drove right over it. There were a couple of sheriff's units right there on his left as he was trying to swerve around that flatbed pickup truck. And I'm being told that there may be a request out for a pit-trained deputy. None of the deputies that we are looking at here apparently are pit-trained, and so in lieu of that, they have a bunch of units that are closing in on them, but no pit-trained deputies able to execute a pit maneuver. In any event, he's not even going fast enough for a proper pit anyway, so we'll see if that even comes into play. Well, this one is. There you go. Yeah, and you saw him speed up about as fast as he's been in the entire pursuit, speeding up the minute he saw that deputy pull up right behind him. So obviously a pit-trained deputy has now joined the pursuit, tried to fishtail the vehicle, and it looks like, I think that it looks like a child in the back seat. It looks like there's somebody in the back seat. I can't tell for sure, Mark, but I think I saw what you saw. It looked like somebody sitting up in the back seat there, right behind the passenger. Rob, can you confirm that? Was that a person? A lot of stuff in the back seat, but it looked like I saw movement in the back seat. It looks. I still see something movement. It may just be objects moving in the back seat, but in fact, it looks like the seat is actually all the way up. That back seat is actually all the way up to the passenger seat. So maybe it's just objects moving, maybe a cardboard box there or something. Something is moving in the back seat, not what I thought it was. It looked like a child for a second there, but it does not look like there's anybody in that seat. But lots of stuff moving around in the back seat there. You can see some paper flapping around, yeah, something like that. Maybe even a reflector that you would put in the windshield, not sure. But you could tell ever since that pit, he has really stepped on it. Now doing 70 miles per hour northbound on Pacific Boulevard. This pursuit taking on a much different profile now just in the last couple of minutes. We'll see how those tires start behaving, if there's any effect. But you could tell that those sheriff's deputies have now pulled back dramatically as he picks up speed. They have this. It's interesting because if it was a successful pit making a right turn, now looks like that's going to be Santa Fe Avenue. If it was a successful spike, now they have to follow this all the way. They're less likely to let it go. It didn't look like they were going to, considering he was traveling at such a slow speed, but now doing 60 miles per hour on surface streets, making that right turn on Santa Fe Avenue, and with a little more traffic in his way, you can see him getting a little bit more aggressive as we are in the thick of rush hour just south of downtown LA. Look at this, much more aggressive driving over the double yellow lines, into the median there, doing anything he can to get away from those lead officers in the pursuit. Now we're going to keep an eye on the behavior of the vehicle. As I mentioned, it appeared to be a successful spike strip. We'll see if those tires are affected. At least from the passenger side, it looks like both of those tires are intact. But I think he actually ran over them with the driver's side tires, so we'll see if we can observe any kind of a bounce or any kind of instability with the vehicle. And it does appear that they are officially putting this back into surveillance mode. So they are following from a distance into oncoming lanes of traffic. Close call there, almost a head-on collision. And now turning off of Santa Fe onto, I think that's going to be 15th Street. So he's on 15th Street. With deputies pulling back a much narrower street here, not afraid to go into oncoming lanes of traffic, swerving around anybody in his way here, and just now a much more dangerous situation than we were dealing with just a couple of minutes ago. And that's the calculus that they have to play with when they decide to do that pit or when they decide to execute a spike strip. There's always the risk that you antagonize the driver and things become more dangerous, and that's exactly what we're seeing here with a lot of oncoming traffic on this very narrow 15th Street here in downtown LA. Under the yeah, at least it's been going on at least 30 minutes now, and I think we've been over it at least 10 already, at least 10, maybe even 15. Look at this, making contact almost with that car, but this is like an entirely different person behind the wheel than just a few minutes ago. You could tell that his adrenaline has dramatically increased. Somebody biking right across the crosswalk there, and now he's making a right turn off of Hooper onto Washington Boulevard, back towards downtown LA. We're getting another glimpse now of the passenger side, and again, from my vantage point, it appears that these tires as well, or no, this is the same side of the vehicle. I still want to see those driver's side tires. I felt like he made pretty good contact with that spike strip, but they appear to be intact. They're almost perfectly intact. So sometimes when you toss that spike strip across the road, it could land upside down, And in that case, there's potential for it to not have the desired impact. In any event, you see him blowing through stop signs, crossing over the paint into oncoming lanes of traffic at times with just a car in his way there.
Yep.
I think the closest units are about a football field at least behind him, maybe even more, as they have officially put this into surveillance mode. They still have the airship overhead, so they'll be able to close in on him pretty quickly here. Look at that. Actually, that's actually CHP. California Highway Patrol has now apparently taken over this pursuit, guys. California Highway Patrol, now Code 3, in pursuit, once again, of this apparent Grand Theft Auto suspect. Whether they've taken it over from the Sheriff's Department or they're just assisting, they are now the lead agency with a primary unit with his lights and sirens blaring as he zigzags his way through downtown, coming up on 27th and Hooper, 28th and Hooper. Now making a right turn onto Hooper Avenue with just total disregard for all of the pedestrian and cars. Look at that. Oh, a close call with a semi-truck there, and now back in the right lanes, but very dangerous driving here. We are just south of downtown, going to be approaching the Huntington Park area, I think, here pretty soon. We are forced to keep our distance as he's made his way back into that LAX approach path, and we're going to be sitting over the 10 freeway as we try and follow from a distance here, trying to peer through this neighborhood. You can see continuing the pursuit through the trees here at about 50 to 60 miles per hour. That's a pretty accurate reading, doing about almost double the speed limit here, and a lot more traffic that he is contending with. But you see CHP is not fooling around. They are willing to continue the pursuit where it appears the Sheriff's Department was not. Making a right turn, that was going to be off of Hooper Avenue onto Vernon. Back over the double yellow lines there with a whole lot of traffic, and you saw that car carrier there, a flatbed truck. I mean, it's almost difficult to tell because of the perspective that we have here, but make no doubt about it, he is coming very, very close to a lot of this other traffic, both the traffic in the correct lanes, those westbound lanes, as well as oncoming lanes of traffic. Here's somebody making a turn, a lot of unsuspecting drivers just going through that intersection there, and this has the potential to end very ugly if this driving continues. You mentioned it, Mark, earlier. The only real questionable behavior was the book that he was waving out the driver's side window, but he is now changed the game dramatically, and I don't know how much longer they can continue to just let this go. But in any event, CHP is doing a pretty good job of keeping up, considering they have to abide by more of the laws than he is. They can't just jump into oncoming lanes of traffic without making sure they have the clearance to do so. And he's now putting a little bit of distance between himself and that primary CHP unit, still about a block away. Trying to squeeze through here. Look at this, a whole lot of pedestrians. I couldn't tell if he made contact there. I'm glad he made that right turn. He made a northbound turn onto perhaps. Oh! Did you see that? He's on Broadway. He just went full speed through an intersection, a crowded intersection with a whole lot of cross traffic as he continues northbound here. Very, very precarious situation here. He is doing ridiculous speeds right through these red lights. Making an eastbound turn off of Broadway onto Hill, over the double yellow lines once again, coming towards us, coming right for us here. But yeah, very narrow, one lane coming, one lane going, and a whole lot of traffic, a very, very busy. There it is. Oh, another close call. It is miraculous that he hasn't hit anybody so far, at least that we've been able to confirm. It doesn't appear that he's made any actual contact, but a lot of close calls at the very, very least. But the traffic on this Wednesday afternoon is not the time to be fooling around with these kinds of speeds. You could tell he's managed to lose that. I think he's lost that primary CHP unit. Not that he's lost them, but that officer at least has to pull off temporarily until they can triangulate in a better location here. But we're going to try and come around as he weaves his way through here. A lot of buildings in the way here. Very fast. I think he made the. That's him. That's him. That's him. That's him. Yeah, made the turn. Made a right turn. Well, and now he doesn't even have anybody behind him. So the question becomes, how much longer is he going to continue driving like this, even without anybody behind him? In his mind, he may have already gotten away. In fact, he may have already gotten away if they've decided to just let this go temporarily or even permanently. Again, if it's a LoJack that they're following, they could always follow the LoJack and and just meet up with the vehicle once he comes to arrest at some point in the future. There's no necessary reason to continue the pursuit unless there's more charges, more crimes associated with this that we're aware of. But if the driving continues this dangerously, then they have to take more aggressive action. We've already seen a pit maneuver. We've seen spike strips, and neither of those have worked in this particular case. And they can't, those are residential area, very narrow streets, once again, kind of random, very random turns. Doesn't appear to have any clear destination in mind. But the options are dwindling here. He's not establishing any kind of a pattern where they can set up for another spike. A pit maneuver on a busy Wednesday afternoon like this, where there's no other motorist at risk, that was a lucky break that they had there in both of those situations, where they were able to execute a pretty good pit maneuver, didn't quite spin him out of control, and as well with the spike strip, that was a nice clean spike, and unfortunately neither of those have had the desired impact, and he is continuing to drive like a madman through the streets of downtown LA. A wild right. Oh, there, almost broadsiding that. Almost, at least. Did he make contact? I couldn't. Onto the railroad tracks. Getting onto the railroad tracks. Okay, he's now on the tracks, paralleling Washington Boulevard, making a left turn, a northbound turn off of Washington onto San Pedro Street. That'll take him into the Arts District here eventually as he comes up on Skid Row. Or I should say the Fashion District, as he heads towards Skid Row, and now underneath the 10 freeway. High rate of speed, still continuing to weave through all of this traffic, and now we're getting a much better glimpse as he comes closer to us, doing about double the speed limit. Lots of cars traveling southbound. Right now, he is about 70 miles per hour. Bound on San Pedro. If he continues through these intersections, again, it's only a matter of time before somebody gets hurt here. This is the worst case scenario with an SUV flying at these speeds through these busy intersections. There's no doubt about it. You almost know exactly how this is going to end. Yeah, unfortunately, with these random turns, there's no way for them to even really catch up with him or even think about setting up for a spike strip. I mean, this is a real dilemma with because of the time of the day and this amount of traffic. And now we're in downtown where the high-rises are plentiful. So there's lots of places for him to lose police, lose even the helicopters, and potentially, if he chooses to do so, and this would be the best possible scenario, would be maybe think about dumping the vehicle and try running for it. You'd have a better chance of getting away that way, hiding between the buildings. If you could find an overpass or a tall building or a parking garage, that's the play here for so many of the pursuit drivers that we see make their way into this neighborhood. But he does not appear to be showing any signs of stopping. So it becomes a question of how much gas is left in that tank and how much luck is he going to continue to have here, because for the type of driving that we've seen here, it is real luck that there have not been, at least that we've been able to tell, there has not been anybody hurt yet. Did you? I'm sorry, Giovanna. Did you say you saw? So deputies now in pursuit. I'm being told that LAPD has been instructed at this point not to get involved. Another busy intersection here as he comes up on 8th Street, making a right turn on 8th, and he's going to continue these erratic turns here, but at least it's in a much more industrial area as he weaves through, are we still in Skid Row? Pretty much, as he makes his way up towards Gladys Avenue, another random turn onto 9th. These are all random turns, just one after another, looking for probably the road less traveled, where he has less traffic to deal with. That's probably what's going through his head as he makes these turns. Does he see a lot of traffic, or does he find an open road? Look at this. And oh, man. Another wild left turn now, and that's going to be Town Avenue. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Because I didn't see any. I haven't seen any for a while. I just, every time I get wrapped up in a thought here, he comes up on these busy intersections, and I have to hold my breath. There, another close call, almost head on with a car coming out of a parking garage. That Corvette just missed him, and now he's continuing down 12th Street, picking up a little more speed once again, and I just cannot get over this part. I mean, this is to be expected, obviously, as he continues in oncoming lanes of traffic now, and a lot of pedestrians. A lot of people crossing the street, people on scooters, people riding their bikes, people with strollers. We've seen so many people that have caught a lucky break as he just misses them as he speeds through these red lights. Another busy crosswalk here. Lots of folks crossing the street here, just barely slowing down in time. And now a southbound turn off of 12th onto Santee Street back towards the 10 freeway. You'd love to see him get on the freeway. He's getting out. There comes the driver. Right down this alleyway, here comes the driver. That's going to be off of Santee, 1 block south, Santee Alley, 1 block south of 12th Street, in the buildings here. And now we'll see if there's any law enforcement in the area to set up any kind of a perimeter. Unfortunately, I'm afraid that there just may not be. There just may not be enough. He is going to have lots of opportunity, and I think way too much time here. Well, that's the thing. We're going to come around this building here and see if we can catch a glimpse of the vehicle where he came to a stop, and see if the woman in the passenger seat is still in the vehicle, or whether she's running for it too. He's hiding in a, I mean, this is, look at that. There's a parking garage, lots of tall buildings, and no police in sight. This, unfortunately, I have to say, it certainly appears that he's going to get away here, at least for the time being, unless somebody can kind of keep an eye on him and call police and kind of help them out. But there's just so many hiding spots here. The best news here is that I can't think of a better way for this to end, considering the location, the type of driving that we were witnessing here. Finally deciding to just jump out of the vehicle, dump the vehicle, and hide on foot. Fortunately, I think we can say that nobody has been seriously hurt here, and that is not what I anticipated. Huge. That's Maple. When you go to Santee, it was on Santee. 1 block south, or one block east. That's it. One down. Right there. There it is. That's it. That's it. Did he crash? Oh, he crashed. He crashed into that light pole. Okay, that explains it. that explains it. He crashed into the light pole there, which was blocking, that building was blocking our view. That's actually a parking garage, incidentally. So lots of spots for him to hide out here, but he basically crashed into that light pole. Can you tell, Rob, is the woman still in the vehicle? I couldn't tell if she jumped out as well, but she's gone. She is not, yeah, she's gone. The dog appears to be gone, and now, as you could see, guys, not even a hint of law enforcement. A lot of witnesses, a lot of cameras too in this area, but I think, you know, unless they can set up a containment area and quickly, and I think it's just too late at this point. This is probably his ideal hiding spot, and LAPD is now going to get involved in the suspect search here as they start to close in on the neighborhood. But he's just had so much time to find a hiding spot or even continue to blend in here. I just have the feeling he may very well get away in the short term here. Nobody. I know they're on the way, LAPD. It has been dispatched, but nobody. And that just sets up a whole lot of time for him to, like I said, even if there's tons of witnesses and cameras and all of the other resources that they'll eventually use to try and track him down, the time is working against them as he has time to either blend in or just escape the area altogether. We'll be here. Copy that. Yeah, he's done.
Oh, that was rough. Good job, Dan.
Nice job,
that
guys.
was rough.
That was rough. These are the hardest ones. That was great.
That Mercedes almost had me.
I can't believe he didn't hit anybody.